Alright, hello and welcome to another Why Would You Use? So, after giving it another shot and looking into it for a little while and doing some testing with it, I've come to the conclusion that the Quanta Vandal is pretty good. It's not really my thing. This is a pretty strong weapon if you use it the right way. So let's look at the build. Very basic, no forma build on this thing. Although I find the most important thing here is to have punch through on it, because it lets you do some more precise things with the alt fire of this weapon, and I find that to be really important. I think with just, if you were just going for raw damage, it should probably be better, like just add a bunch of forma, just more fucking damage, and then have a maxed out shred, of course, and just basic damage build essentially with shred, and then that would probably be the best for it. Maybe speed trigger for more DPS, since this thing's not really ammo hungry on its main fire, potentially. But just this actually works totally fine for my test, and it's kind of surprising because in general first of all, this goes 50 meters, which is pretty impressive. This is incredibly ammo efficient, but does not do like incredibly high DPS or anything. However, the alt fire of the weapon, these do very good damage if you set them off. So these will do regular damage if you just shoot them into enemies, but they do double damage if you blow them up, and they can chain react, which is really, really important. And the reason for the punch through is that you can shoot these, and it will do damage and go through an enemy, and then you can shoot through the enemy and blow it up. Which is pretty useful at close range and does really, really high damage. But, of course, like, the best damage you can do is shit like this. And just wipe out a whole area. It's kind of like, less powerful, but kind of an energy-based Tonkor, if you will. It works in a sort of similar way, but one of the advantages is that you can very easily fire around corners. Like, say if I'm right here and there's a guy on the opposite side of this, I can just do that and then blow him up. Which is really good, because the radius of the explosion is actually pretty large, all things considered. So, let's get into the test of this thing. Because it's a weird one, admittedly, and I really did not give this weapon enough credit, because I, like, honestly had never properly tested it. Like, because most beam weapons had become pretty much universally bad, I didn't give this probably the time that it deserved to actually test it to its fullest extent. And it turns out that because of the alt fire, this weapon is actually pretty damn good. Which we will see, as it will pretty much instant kill most of these enemies. Oh, that's bad. Alright. Agents are dead. It is weird. Does have significant range, which is very nice, because beam weapons, usually that's one of the big, big downsides. Killed all those guys. Should have killed. It does take 10 ammo to fire alt fire, which is very important. Also, these cubes innately do blast. I have blast on my weapon even further, just to have a more consistent chance of that going off. But yeah, I'm not super used to it yet, but you can see that like the damage this thing puts out is pretty solid, all things considered. And it's a fun weapon. Like, you used this way, especially, obviously, this area doesn't really give the full extent of how safe this weapon can be, because while we have, like, this around corner stuff here that you can do, and all that, it doesn't really show, like, in hallways, where you can be, like, because these bounce off walls. So you can bounce these into a hallway, and then these are all stuck in a hallway, and then enemies walk in, and then they die. Which, you know, that's pretty good, to have a bunch of enemies walk into a hallway and then die. And then otherwise, against weak enemies, this weapon uses such, like, a tiny amount of ammo. Like, such a completely insignificant amount of ammo. You'll never run out. Like, at low levels, just fucking sweep this shit and just clean house. And just don't even care. Not a single fuck is ever given. Not even one fuck. But yeah, that's the Quanta Vandal. A lot better than I had given it credit for. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.